Settle yourself in. Let the day fade slowly behind you, and prepare to drift into the distant past. Tonight, we will journey together into the world of ancient Egypt, a place that feels at once familiar. Because of its iconic pyramids and statues, and yet strangely elusive, what we usually remember are the golden masks, the towering monuments, the names of great pharaohs carved into stone. But behind the symbols and splendor, there were ordinary lives of labor, devotion, survival, and quiet endurance. This is not the Egypt of Hollywood films full of high drama and shining treasures. Instead, we will explore its quieter truths, the textures of daily toil, the story of rulers whose ambitions were matched by their struggles, the mysteries buried in the sands and uncovered centuries later. If you drift away, the story will go on without you. Let us begin. Imagine for a moment that you are not a pharaoh, not a noble, not a priest. You're a worker, part of the immense human effort to raise stone monuments in the desert. At dawn, before the sun grows harsh, you rise from a mat in a simple mud brick dwelling. The air is cool and carries the faint scent of ash from cooking fires. Around you, hundreds of others stir in the same rhythm, forming a tide of weary but determined people. Your tasks are repetitive and heavy. Copper chisels that dull quickly. Wooden sledges creaking under massive blocks. Ropes biting into your hands as you help drag stone across sand and mud. The sound of feet shuffling in unison, the groan of stone moving inch by inch, this becomes the rhythm of your days. Meals are plain but filling. Coarse bread, onions, garlic, and thick beer brewed for sustenance. Occasionally, fish or dried meat brings variety. You eat, you drink, and you return to the endless cycle of labor. The sun soon grows merciless. Sweat stings your eyes, dust clings to your skin, and the pale stone dazzles in the heat. Injuries are common, and illness lingers. Know of men who fail to rise again, their lives cut short by exhaustion. Yet there is camaraderie. 2 songs sung in rhythm with the work. Laughter in the evening when the air cools, and the comfort of knowing you build something greater than yourself. At night, weary and sore, you glance toward the half-finished pyramid. It will never be your resting place, but in some quiet way, you take pride in knowing your hands, your effort, your sweat have helped shape a monument meant to last for ages. The life of a pyramid worker, harsh, repetitive, but deeply human. Now, let us leave the dust of the building sites behind and turn our attention to one of Egypt's most remarkable rulers. Her name was Hatshepsut. She was born into privilege, the daughter of a pharaoh, and she grew up within the guarded walls of the royal household. As a child, she learned to read sacred texts, to understand rituals, and to carry herself with the quiet authority expected of royalty. When her father died, the throne passed to her half-brother and husband, Thutmose II. For a time, she was queen consort in honored, but secondary role. But when Thutmose died young, leaving behind a very small son, Hatshepsut stepped forward. She first acted as regent, ruling in the boy's name. Imagine the scene. Inscriptions carved in stone now depicted her not as a queen, but as a king, broad-shouldered, bearded, wearing the royal headdress. Her gender was not erased, but carefully woven into the image of kingship, so that she could rule without question. Her reign was long and steady, lasting over 20 years. Rather than leading armies into endless wars, she focused on trade, architecture, and administration. The famous expedition to the land of Punt brought back incense trees, exotic goods, and a sense of prosperity. Mosses rose under her patronage, most notably the magnificent mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahari, its terraces still rising out of the desert cliffs with serene beauty. And yet her memory became troubled. After her death, her stepson Thutmose III, now grown, took control. For reasons still debated, perhaps revenge, perhaps politics, her images were chiseled out. Her statues broken, her name removed from king lists. For centuries, she was hidden from history, until archaeologists pieced her story together again. Today, her face looks out at us from statues and reliefs, calm and resolute, her reign a reminder of how power in Egypt could be shaped not only by men, but also by a woman who refused to remain in the background. Hatshepsut's life was one of ambition, vision, and eventual erasure, and yet here we are, thousands of years later, still speaking her name, still tracing the outlines of her story. In that sense, she endures. In 1922, An English archaeologist named Howard Carter uncovered a tomb unlike any other. It belonged to a little-known pharaoh, Tutankhamun, a boy king who died before reaching full manhood. His reign had been brief, and yet his resting place would become one of the most famous discoveries in history. The tomb was small compared to others, but it was remarkably intact. Inside lay a dazzling collection of objects: gilded shrines, carved furniture, delicate jewelry, and most famously, the golden mask. After thousands of years, it was as if time had paused, sealing away the world of an ancient court in one secret chamber. But alongside the wonder came whispers of a curse. Several people connected with the excavation died in the years that followed, some suddenly, some from illness. Newspapers of the time seized on these coincidences, weaving stories of ancient vengeance. In truth, the so-called curse was more myth than reality. Most of those who entered the tomb lived long lives, including Carter himself. But the legend captured imaginations. It spoke to the unease of disturbing the dead and the timeless human tendency to create mystery where answers are uncertain. For Tutankhamun himself, the reality was quieter. He was a boy who inherited a throne in turbulent times, married young, and died before his body reached its full height. His name might have been forgotten entirely, had his tomb not been overlooked by ancient robbers. Instead, he became the most recognized pharaoh of them all. As you imagine the Valley of the Kings, picture the silence of the cliffs, the dry air carrying only the faint rustle of wind. Beneath the rock, chambers still lie waiting, some explored, some yet to be found. The so-called curse of Tutankhamun is only one part of that landscape, a story born of chance, discovery, and our endless fascination with what lies hidden in the earth. Now let us leave the tombs and the mysteries, and step instead into the halls of the palace. Here, life unfolded at a slower, richer pace, very different from the laborers in the fields or the quarry. Imagine a banquet prepared for a pharaoh or one of his favored nobles. The air inside the chamber is cooler, shaded by carved columns and decorated with painted scenes of lotus blossoms and flowing rivers. Servants move quietly, carrying trays and pitchers, careful never to disturb the calm. Food was more than nourishment. It was a symbol of status. Ordinary Egyptians lived on bread, onions, beans, and beer. But here, the tables groaned with variety. Roasted duck, fresh fish from the Nile, cuts of beef, and baskets of figs, pomegranates, and dates. Bowls of honey-sweetened pastries and wine imported from distant lands filled tall jars. Guests followed a ritual order, seated according to rank, offered dishes in a sequence that reflected their closeness to the ruler. Conversation was measured, not hurried, and often touched on matters of state or on religious devotion. Perfumed oils softened the air. Lotus flowers floated in shallow bowls of water, releasing a subtle fragrance. The flicker of lamps cast golden light on the polished walls. All was designed to soothe, to display wealth, and to affirm the divine aura of the royal household. For the elite of Egypt, dining was not only pleasure, it was ceremony, politics, and display. And yet if you imagine yourself there, reclining on a cushion, listening to the soft notes of music while the night settles outside, you might feel that the world had slowed almost to stillness. And so, we leave ancient Egypt, its workers in the sun, its rulers in their temples, its mysteries buried in desert valleys, and its feasts lit by flickering lamps. Across thousands of years, the rhythm of those lives was steady, shaped by the river Nile, by ritual, by the demands of survival, and the pursuit of eternity. As you rest now, you can let that rhythm fade into the background of your own thoughts. The toil of the pyramid builders, the ambitions of Hatshepsut, the mystery of Tutankhamun, and the luxuries of a royal banquet, all of it is far away, softened by distance and time. You need only the quiet of this moment, the comfort of your own surroundings, and the steady breath that carries you towards sleep. May your night be peaceful, and may history keep you company until dreams take over.